So, here today we have the rarest of all handguns, slightly exaggerated, Smith & Wesson Shield in 9mm. First of all, let's danger check it. Yep, it's dangerous. So, what to say about this? It's a subcompact single stack 9mm, and it's very hard to find these days because they're very popular, especially after the recall. This one is post-recall, so there are no problems with it that I'm aware of. But let's talk about it. Okay, so mag release. One nice thing about that mag release, it's very positive. It really springs out. Even when it's empty, it really flies out. Not too small, that's good. It's got a safety over here. It's kind of stiff in both directions. It's a little bit easier to take it off than to put it on, but I think it's mostly useless. I mean, I'm a Glock person, so I think it's pretty useless to begin with. Let's see, no space for any mounting of any accessories. 3-dot sights. Both of them are in dovetails, which I like that, so you can adjust either one if you wanted to. There's an Allen screw holding down the rear sight, which I think is another great thing. Barrel is very clearly stamped that it's 9mm up there on top, which is a great thing. I like that. And that little window there, you probably can't get in there and see, but it acts as a load chamber indicator. Let's see if we can get a better angle with the light. Maybe you can see it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you can see it in there. So, that's cool. Now, I got this for my girlfriend because I thought this would be a good single stack substitute for a Glock, essentially. And let's talk about it as it compares to a Glock. So I'm going to make it safe against my better judgment for a moment. First of all, let's talk about some things. First of all, releasing the slide with your thumb here is very difficult. It's very stiff. The trigger is 6.5 pounds, I believe, and there's much less to pull back on, much less slack to take up, and then the break is much sooner. So that was one thing I really considered deeply before getting it. So I want something as Glock-like as possible because she's used to a Glock. So here's the Glock. Take all that up, and then there's more travel. Notice that after you hit here, there's more travel before it actually clicks. Not the case here. There's travel, less of it, and then breaks right away. A little bit stiffer, but I kind of almost like this trigger better for that reason. A couple other things. One irritating thing to me, which not everyone agrees with me on, but irritating to me, is the fact that the trigger safety is set up like that. The front edge of it, lower edge, I guess I should say, bends down like that, rather than have a safety lever in the 26, which is just in the center. I prefer that. 26 has a target trigger because of the import requirements on foreign guns like that. This one does not. Smooth trigger. One thing that I find irritating about this, doesn't affect everybody, I just don't like, is when I grab it, due to the length of pull, I feel like the trigger is actually resting on the brake in my finger. That's the only comfortable way. Otherwise, my finger's sticking out like that. So you got either like that, where it's on the brake at the knuckle there, or it's out like this, where it should be, but it feels uncomfortable. Probably because it's a double stack. I don't have that same kind of problem with the 26, the Glock 26. Another thing about this, I've noted this, my girlfriend noticed this, it's extremely difficult to get it all the way back to lock. You really have to jam it back. It's very stiff to manually lock it back. And I think that's because, you know, when you get all the way back there, you're at the extreme of the spring, and there's not much space to keep on going. Because I think with the Glock, there's a bit more space to go before it actually stops. I think that's the reason. A little bit less tension on that spring. Another thing which I definitely don't like, although it's not really a problem with it as it comes to you know, a tactical situation, is the takedown. This is a lever here. It's kind of like an SKS. You rotate it a certain number of degrees, you release it, pull the trigger, and it comes off. And it looks, you know, just like any kind of striker fire pistol under there, like a Glock system. Same kind of safety. So if you've seen my my Glock videos, you know what those are. It's a trigger. This plunger right here, that round plunger, has to be pressed for the firing pin to be able to go forward, and the drop safety, which is that little ramp hooking up with the hook on the striker. So put it back together like that, and then lock it back again. Put the lever back, and there you go. Another thing about it, it's not too bad trying to control it on the range. We're gonna have a couple clips of that compared with a Glock 19. We didn't have a Glock 26 on hand, but you know, compared to a Glock 19 in terms of like the recoil, it's marginally harder to control, but I mean marginally. It's not bad at all. It's 9mm. Thing that I don't like about it, just because I have bad habits, is that the trigger guard is angled. I hold my weak index finger up there, because with a 9mm I can keep it on there, and I keep better control of the weapon. So I don't like that you can't do that on there, but that's not a big issue for most people. Another thing is that because it's a single stack, you have the same kind of pressure of a 9mm cartridge going off, pushing against your hand over a smaller surface area than like a 26, so it hurts a little bit more. Now my girlfriend says that that doesn't exist, and I'm just a baby, but I can definitely feel the difference. And along that line, before we do anything else, let's compare the sizes here. If you go back to back, you can see there's almost no difference. The 26 is slightly longer, almost no difference. Let's look at the sight radius. Sight radius is almost the same as well. As far as the height goes, you might be surprised to find out that the shield is actually taller. Let's put the magazines in to make sure we get a really accurate representation of that. If you like that, you can see that the shield is definitely longer. The extended magazine, the 8-round magazine, rather than the 7-round magazine that's in it right now, sticks out to about the length of where a Glock 19 grip is. It makes for a very tall gun when you have that extended grip on there. But it's easy to hold on to as far as that goes. No complaints with that. With this kind of height, no problem. What else is there to say? The only other thing that's interesting to note is that the bore axis is higher as far as how it sits in the hand. Here, I'll go left hand right there. This is that the bore axis is slightly higher off of your hand, and so it's a slightly more recoil for that reason. It's not really anything significant though that I can detect, but overall impressions, for me, yeah, it's a good gun. There are a lot of little things I don't like about it, but all in all, there's nothing substantially wrong with it at all. I like the fact that there is a safety, even though I really hate the safety, so I think it's a good idea that people will have a striker-fired handgun and actually be able to have a safety, rather than people that stay away from a striker-fired handgun because they're afraid that there is no safety. I say, no, get into a striker-fired handgun, and it's good that they have this because there are people that will be more willing to buy it rather than sticking with a revolver or a double-action, single-action, semi-automatic pistol. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with it at all that I can really say in any substantial amount, but I will say that, especially in terms of the size, the only dimension you're gaining anything on is the thickness over a Glock 26. It's the only thing you're gaining. And the length is not anything significant, so don't worry about that. You're losing a lot of that, though. You're losing a lot of height, and you're losing between, if you're keeping the same kind of magazines, the flush magazines, you're losing 3 rounds of ammo. And when it's 9mm, that 3 rounds makes a lot of difference. And if you have a 40 version of this, which I think holds 6 in the flush mag, and you have a Glock 27, which is the 40 of this, then you're losing 3 rounds of 40, which is significant. Makes a big difference when this is the only gun you have on your person, which is why this is actually a backup gun for me. I carry my 19 first, and then this, and I always have a backup Glock 19 magazine as well. So, all that being said, great gun, absolutely nothing wrong with it. I got this one for $400. It's just that with this for $500, you're getting 3 rounds of ammo more, a lot more interchangeable parts, a lot more aftermarket parts, and I think this is a better way to go. What do you think, Jennifer? What do you think about it?
About
the shield?
I like my shield. It works with my clothing. I'm not a man, I don't wear baggy stuff. So it works.
There you go.
I had a tight-fitted shirt on the other day, and you couldn't tell I had it unless you were looking for it.
That's true. So, you know, if you can get away with the 26, absolutely don't even bother with this. But if you have to, then this is the best backup to a subcompact Glock that you can get. You know, that in XDS and Beretta Nano and what's the other one? Walther PPS. Stay away from things like LC9s and PF9s, because those are double action only. The triggers are awful. But that's it. Thanks for enjoying my rant. Here's the shield. Glock 19. Here's the shield again. Here's the 19 again.